You know, you know, if you were to tell me which bit of Final Fantasy 15 might make an appearance in Final Fantasy 13, it wouldn't have been to completely flip the script again and suddenly change the whole game. But that's what happened. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Preacher, and we are along for the ride of exploring FF13. And, yeah, okay, things got weird. Let me explain. I was enjoying the story a lot. I told you guys all about this in our last episode. Story was getting pretty good. We killed Sid, and now we're as one. And one thing I brought up in the last couple of episodes here is, like, I have no idea what the end game of this game looks like, because it's very, like, corridor-driven. And unlike, say, FF7 Remake, which was also very corridor-driven, is we hadn't bumped into areas of obvious side quests, you know, little hubs and things like that to run around and do things. So I was kind of curious how that was going. Well, now I know. Before we get to that, our King Snow. Oh man. Okay, so we're trapped in this maze, this pulseless sea underground area that we need to get out of and need to decide our fate of what we're going to do in order to exit Cocoon, destroy Cocoon, save Cocoon. What are we going to do? We're going to do what the fal'Cie want us to do. I don't know. It's all a big mystery. Who brings us together, my friends? Who unites these heroes under a banner of trust? It's our boy Snow. Our boy Snow leads the way yet again. Absolute legend and hero in his own right. What a guy. Does the most inspiration. I shed a tear. I did. I shed a tear. Oh, man. As he inspirationally guided us into the future. On the path we have to go on. On the path we are all destined to go on. This was great. This whole cutscene was just so good. Of Snow just like, Sarah's been giving us everything we need all along. Her tear, her message. We don't trust in the fal'Cie. We don't trust in the pulse. We trust in Sarah. Okay, and everybody agrees. Except for Fang. Except for Fang. Fang disagrees. She's not happy with this. And I was like, oh, this is probably because if we go against the wishes of Barty Boy, then that means we all get turned into ashtrays, and that would be very sad. And she doesn't want Vanille to turn into an ashtray because they're roommates or something. I don't know. There's no clear evidence either way or the other so far as to what's going on there. Just as a nice big... the Eidolon fight begins. And very during this episode, several of their characters got their Eidolons. I was kind of curious about this. It seemed to be very delayed between getting Eidolons for the characters. And it was cool to see that the Eidolons are now appearing. And it's made more clear that the Eidolons appear in, like, your darkest time, so to speak, in order to inspire you in some way to rise above it. So, like, for Saz, it was when he realized Vanille was kind of responsible inadvertently for potentially the death of his son. And he was in despair, he was thinking about suicide or killing Vanille, and then the Eidolon appears and joins him, which was great. Fang getting Bahamut. Okay, and Bahamut has tiny little fairy wings. Flutter, 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 I'm Bahamut. Did not like this version of Bahamut. In fact, I'll be honest, I don't like most of the versions of the Eidolons in this game. They're very, I don't know what the word is, like manga-esque, I guess I'm looking for. They're very like Transformers, right? They're very much like Transformer-based. They usually convert into something else. Bahamut, I was hoping would turn into like Starscream from Transformers, you know, a proper jet fighter, but he's really just sort of lay flat with his little fluttery wings to go there. But it was nice, and best part about it is, I'm not saying it was Mega Flare that Bahamut fired, but the fact that Snow blocked it with just his wrist and just cast it aside, like the champion he is, was great. Was absolutely wonderful. Luckily, we are trapped. Our wonderful little group of friends here is trapped in an underground maze, and Vanille's, oh, it's a maze, what are we going to do? Easy solution, friend, because in this decrepit Nier Automata style dystopian wasteland, perfectly functional airship, top level, absolutely awesome, thank God for that, even though there's literally not even a working vending machine in this area. There is indeed a fully working and politely parked airship for us to use, thank God. So we're off on our way to Pulse. I was very excited for this. They keep calling Pulse hell and blah, 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 and all the propaganda. And I'd said since episode 1, I bet Pulse is really nice. Like, I suspect it's just quite idyllic, honestly, but they're filled with the propaganda of their falsies, etc., who are working together in order to deal with eradicating or sacrificing the population. So we go through a warp tunnel. Okay, sure, why not? Where we enter a sort of Beetlejuice-esque world. It does look picturesque. It's lush, there's lots of jungle life, old decrepit buildings. It looks like a post-nuclear fallout you would expect if you were watching something like I Am Legend, for example, where the world has just been left for many, many years, and, you know, the nature has taken it back, is the phrase that's often uttered. But it is unfriendly. Because it's untamed. It's an untamed wilderness. There's beasts running rampant, including flying like Leviathan-style beasts, which take down our airship. But generally speaking, it is quite idyllic. It's got this sort of very natural vibe to it, which I enjoy. We're out in the wilderness. And as we crash land there, you won't believe it. And I was devastated. Oh, my God. Hope gets seriously injured. So anyway, we deal with that as he's like given up. He's like, leave me behind. I'm so useless that it would just be better for everybody if I just didn't come along. And I was like, okay, we'll leave you here. But no, of course, it's time for him to get his idol on. And I called this in like day 1. I was like, I hate this character, which means he's going to get an awesome idol on, because not only is the story about despair and bitterness, as all FF stories are, but his name is literally Hope. Right. Who does he get? Alexander. And Alexander looks like the most chungus Robo Chrono Trigger beef bot ever. And I was like, dude, I knew it. I knew he was going to get something cool. I knew it. But now we've got Bahamut. We've got Alexander. I wish I'd used the summons more in combat, but honestly, I find the combat so enjoyable without using them. So I'm probably missing a trick there, a very powerful ability that I could use. So I'm going to force myself the next couple of episodes to use the Eidolons a bit more. I generally just don't bother and try and tackle them normally. But he gets Alexander, who transforms as well. I would love to see in the comments section, what is this? Because our best guess is either power plant or wall. In which case, I had a flood of Donald Trump faces. Because we're going to build the wall. And Alexander's gonna... Hope's building a wall. Alexander transformed into was either a wall or... He had, like, steam or something coming out of them. Out of these little wall sections. I was like, is he a power plant? This is a real boomer reference, I know. But if any of you have ever seen the movie Big, it reminded me of that. Where Tom Hanks is playing with a skyscraper robot. And this guy is explaining, like, the marketings that kids love things that turn into other things. So we can have them turn into anything, and this one turns into a skyscraper. And Tom Hanks just goes, I don't get it. What's fun about a skyscraper? And everybody looks all confused, like they hadn't considered the fun element of what a transformer should be. And I just had this flashback to... And it's Alexander, right? He's a mega robot, super powerful Eidolon. And he turns into a wall. And I'm like, well, what's fun about a wall? Like, Bahamut turns into, like, a spaceship, right? And we've had race cars and all sorts of things. And, you know, Shiva turns into, like, a dual-breasted motorbike. Like, it's pretty cool. So I'm unsure about this one. Let's put it that way. But Hope's fine again. And he leads us on an inspirational... I can't. Hope's inspirational cutscene ends with Lightning going, okay. And I was just like, everybody should remember, never ask Hope a question, because he's going to turn it into a TED Talk immediately. But he's also like 14 years old and doesn't know anything. So you've got to bear that in mind. It's like he's 14-year-old going on an inspirational speech. And just the fact that at the end of it, we were all laughing at it, is that Lightning just goes, okay. It's just so hilarious. But then here's the twist and the theme of this episode. It then turns into an open world game. What? Where did that come from? Why? Okay, sure, why not? It turns into very much Final Fantasy XII, like almost identical to Final Fantasy XII. Is these wide open areas, no doubt with paths that lead into different wide open areas. I haven't explored much of this. We just got to this. And it was just like, oh, okay. And then it looks like, in the complete reversal to Final Fantasy 15, The story appears to have just been like, and we'll put that over there for now, because now it's time to show you how the end of this game is going to work. And then it gets even more confusing. So we've got these nice open worlds. I'm happy about this. I feel like we've got chocobos in the future. Great. This area is really hard. I went off the beaten track, as I always do, and was attempting to gain a piece of loot that was protected by just 4 little monsters, and nasty. I could have killed them. I actually found the winning strategy towards the end of my play session. But unfortunately, I made one paradigm shift mistake, which instantly killed us, which was a shame, because that's how difficult that fight was. One incorrect paradigm shift and it was game over, and that's exactly what happened when we only had like 20% health left on the final mob. So I've got to come back to it later. Obviously, I'm not supposed to be killing these yet. That's fine. I get the message. What was interesting then is it's now introduced essentially hunts, but they're weird this time. So again, I think I talked in yesterday's episode about the game changing the rules. I'm not sure if that's exactly what's happened, but it kind of feels that way. Is we meet these frisbees, and these frisbees just float around, and they've got the ashtray crystal in them that you turn into if you succeed in your focus. But these, according to the lore the game gives at this point, are Seaths, which are ghouls. As far as we know up to this point, if you fail your focus, you become a Seath, which means you're a ghoul. However, it now says, if you're a ghoul for a really long time, you now turn into a frisbee and you float around, and it gets really dark at this point, because apparently you still have the awareness of completing your focus. Like, and you are eternally locked as a frisbee, constantly thinking about finishing your focus, but you can't because you're a frisbee man. This again is not mentioned earlier, and it should have been, because now I'm confused, because the way the hunts are worded is that somebody else can go and complete the focus. So they're obviously drawing on the idea of spirits with unfinished business. Very tropey story about ghosts is they linger around until their business is concluded and they can't go to the afterlife, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard that story a million times. So the these Seaths, they're still called Seaths, we'll call them Frisbee people. The Frisbee people want you to go and do a hunt. So my focus was to kill a ghoulish monster over there, and I never did it. Oh. And the wording is, if you complete the focus that the Frisbee man had, then they will be put to rest and done. I kind of feel I'm reading too much into this, because I'm 99% sure once you complete the hunt, because we did do the first hunt, and instead of me having to go back and sort of turn the quest in, it just auto-completes and shows you the next Frisbee man who needs help. And so I was like, oh, I guess we're just supposed to forget about what this is, and it's kind of just a means to an end. We need hunts, so we'll do it this way. I'm not sure I prefer this to hunt boards, where I just know where to go and collect the next hunts. I have a fear of this system. So this is what we're doing right now. This is where we're up to. Is it's give us these hunts to go on to get some better gear and to get some experience and so on and so on. And I am sure that this is now going to branch out. Now we've got open world areas into probably extra areas to investigate. Very FF12 style. Is that you can go off the beaten track and check some things out. I will report on that tomorrow. My only concern with this hunt system, and it being sort of out in the world, because these Frisbee people just sort of float around, is that the really good ones, where we're looking at super boss territory, if we go that far, might be sort of like hidden Frisbee people somewhere out in the world. Because there is a ranking system for completing the hunts. Completing the first hunt moved us up a rank, and the higher rank you are, the more Frisbee people will come to life for you, is essentially the system. It's very convoluted for what should just be a mission board, ultimately. They tried to add some flavor to it, I'm not sure yet whether it's nailed it. I have no idea. But I'm going to investigate this. But again, it's thrown the lore into confusion, which is annoying, because there's already so much to keep a track of in this game that it's a little wonky. But on the good side, we've found what's probably going to be the end game. Now we have an open world to discover, and it's actually going to be Pulse. We're going to go back to... I was very confused by this, as the characters are lost in Pulse. And I kept thinking, but Vanille and Fang are from here, so surely they know where, like, the Seaches are, or whatever. If we're, to use a Dune reference, or where the encampments are of the Pulse people, So why aren't we going there? And that's kind of a revelation towards the end. Now, I do understand that they've been ashtrays for, at least Vanille's been an ashtray for over 100 years. I don't know how long Fang's been one, so we'll assume the same. So maybe the town is gone. Sure, but wouldn't we check there first? But we are going to do that now. It was just one of those weird things that we apparently were lost in the Pulse for a long time. But we're going there next. So, again, I still stick by my guns, as the Pulse are probably really good people. The area is lovely, and now we've got some endgame. So, FF13 just kind of bust wide open on me. Great. So I'll report back later. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.